So today we're going to do a quick first look at the new Victure AC960 4K 60 frames per second action camera. Can this be the best budget 4K dual screen action camera in 2021? Well, let's check it out. So as you know, I've reviewed the AC920 and the AC940, which both had fake 4K at 60 frames per second. Will this new dual screen AC960 have real K at 60 frames per second? Well, we're going to get into that a little bit later on in this video. Now, as you know, with this style of waterproof body, kind of like the Akaso Brave 7 LE, the Campark V40, and now this Victure AC960, it makes me wonder if these cameras are just rebranded bodies from the same manufacturer and just adding their own personal branding like a name, model number, etc. But I will say that each of these have their very own unique firmware. Now, why does that matter, you might ask? Well, as you know, with the Akaso Brave 7 LE, the audio was horrible. But on the Campark V40, the audio was actually quite good. So if they're using the same internals, that means that they're using the same microphone membrane over the built-in microphone. So that leads me to really know for a fact that the firmware has a huge impact on the audio quality of these action cameras. Okay, with that out of the way, this camera is definitely ruggedly built. Comes with two 1350 mAh batteries, your usual GoPro style mountings, a nice 1/4-20 tripod mount on the bottom. Uses a micro USB connector for charging, which I was kind of hoping that these companies nowadays would just add a USB Type-C connector. This camera does have dual screens, which gives you that Osmo Action Hero 9 kind of feel for framing yourself. Now, this is a waterproof camera, and the doors seem very solidly built and they shut very well, enough to ensure that no water would penetrate into the camera. But it's also a very nice touch that they added a waterproof case for those deeper dives, or just basic peace of mind in case you don't trust the waterproofness of the main camera body. Now, one thing worth mentioning is the fact that on the box it states Shenzhen Apeman Innovations Technology Company. So does that mean that Victure is an offshoot of Apeman? I really don't know, but kind of worth mentioning. Let's get to some audio and resolution tests, and then I'll be back to talk more about this Victure AC960. So we're testing out this new Victure AC960. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, I haven't heard of the AC960. Well, that's because it has not been released yet. I got an early version of it. It should be released pretty soon. When it does, I will definitely let you know. But I'm going to be doing a lot of tests with this. First, we're going to do a quick little audio test with a built-in microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm shooting 4K 30 frames per second with EIS on, and just hand holding this on a little Manfrotto mini tripod just to get a little bit of reach. The thing about these cameras that are in the waterproof case, they seem to crop in a lot even though you have it set to 170-degree field of view. So we're going to do some testing with this in different resolutions and see, first and foremost, is this really 4K at 60 frames per second, or is it like these other action cameras, hey Victure, the 920, that was a 1080p upscale up to 4K 60. But we'll do some of that testing now. Okay, so this is 1080p at 30 frames per second with the Victure AC960. We're going to see how the video quality looks. Now we're at 1080p 60 frames per second, EIS on, to see how the video quality looks in this resolution. Now shooting 2.7K 30 frames per second with EIS on to see how the 2.7K looks. And now the question that everybody wants to know, 4K 60 frames per second with electronic image stabilization on. Let's see how this image quality looks. So what are my thoughts about this Victure AC960? By the way, if you're new here, consider subscribing. I do tech reviews on different action cameras, different products, to let you know, is it worth it or not. If you find this video informative at all, give it a thumbs up. But back to my thought, well, you know, I think it's got some strong points, and I think it has a couple of weak points. The first thing that I want to address, and it's not just to Victure, it's to any of these action camera companies that claim 4K at 60 frames per second on a budget. Stop doing it. For real, stop doing it. You're not fooling anybody. It's 1080p that is being upscaled, as you can see in the video that I shot side by side of the 4K 60 and the 1080p 60. It's exactly the same. They may up the bit rate, but that doesn't matter because the image quality falls apart. Whenever you're trying to take 1080p 60 and upscale it to 4K 60, it just falls apart. And just stop doing it. Now, I will say, audio did not sound bad. It's not as good as what the Campark V40 is, but then again, this is just a quick look at the Victure AC960, and I wanted to kind of just give you a little idea of what it looked like, its pros, some of its cons. I'm going to be doing some more testing with it and some comparison videos with the Akaso Brave 7 LE and also the Campark V40 for image quality, audio obviously, stabilization tests, and that'll all be coming up here shortly. Normally I would sit there at this portion of the video and say, hey, there's a product link in the description below. Victure has not released this AC960 yet. This is an early release that was sent to me for testing purposes and kind of get the word out, so to speak. But anyway, as soon as this is available for purchase, I will put product links in the description below and update it. But more testing of this, some comparisons. I'll compare it to the GoPro Hero 8, the GoPro Hero 9, the Osmo Action, since these budget cameras are trying to imitate the Osmo Action with the dual screen and the 4K 60. Stop doing it. I will do a little comparison, and then we're going to pixel peep Osmo Action 4K 30 versus these budget action cameras, and how precise are they in their 4K. And as always, I'll catch you in the next review. And of course, it's a motorcycle that's got to drive by.